It has been a genuinely miserable 24 hours for the government. Huge concessions were made on the welfare bill, so much so that, frankly, it wasn't really worth the paper that it was written on, certainly when it comes to personal independence payments. And that means the so-called £5 billion they were hoping to save effectively had been wiped out, leading, of course, to lots of speculation about looming tax rises coming up in the budget in a few months' time. It seemed overnight that the Prime Minister's authority had waned quite considerably. And then, at Prime Minister's questions, the Leader of the Opposition, Kevin Badenoch, was asking the PM questions about how long the Chancellor would last. And watch this and see if you can spot the demeanour of Rachel Reeves.
In January, he said that she would be in post till the next election. Will she really?
She certainly won't. Mr. Speaker, I have to say I'm always cheered up when she asks me questions or responds to a statement, because she always makes a complete mess of it and shows just how unserious and irrelevant they are.
How awful for the Chancellor that he couldn't confirm that she would stay in place. Yeah.
Well, that was Kevin Badenoch putting the boot in, as you would expect, given what had happened over the last 24 hours. What perhaps you could see, or maybe not fully see, was when Reeves walked into the chamber, the Democratic Unionist Party member for Parliament sitting next to me, she said, "Look at Reeves, she looks ill." I thought, goodness me, she looks terrible. And then as the 35 minutes went on, she several times had to wipe away tears. It was actually, sitting opposite, quite difficult to watch. I thought, well, I don't know, maybe there's been some personal family bereavement or something horrid's happened in the last few hours. Afterwards, number 10 immediately refused to confirm or deny whether it was personal or not. Rachel Reeves' office said it was a personal matter. Then as the day's gone on, it turns out that the Speaker of the House wasn't very happy with her yesterday in terms of the way she answered questions. And the closest to the truth that I think I've been able to get is that as Reeves was coming into the chamber, the Speaker did have a word with her about, just to remind you what I said yesterday, keep your answers a bit shorter so we can get more members in when we've got Treasury questions and matters of that nature. And then speculation runs rife all through the afternoon that prior to that, there'd been some huge argument with a member of the Cabinet. I don't know the truth of that anymore at this moment in time than you do. I suspect by the time the Sunday newspapers come out that we will all know. But it just had a feeling, this wobbly Wednesday, just had a feeling that something really was going badly wrong. Certainly, never again glad, confident morning, but just how much trouble is the government in? Love your thoughts on that. Please tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com. I'm joined in the studio by Kwasi Kwarteng, former Conservative Member of Parliament and former Chancellor of the Exchequer, and Scarlett Maguire, former Labour advisor. Kwasi, you had quite a tempestuous time.
Of course.
Did you cry?
Never.
Even
when I was sacked, I didn't cry.
But did you feel down?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the rough and tumble of politics.
It's rough, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've been at high levels in politics, not yet in government.
Yeah.
You may enjoy that at some point in the future, who knows? But I think, if you're a senior cabinet minister, a prime minister, dare I say, you're going to be under huge pressure. And the real trick of it is actually to try and keep as composed as you can. I mean, some of your viewers will know Kipling and If You Can Keep Your Head and all that sort of business. And in politics, that's really, really important. I was surprised that she cried. I suspect there are personal things going on.
Well, there may be. I mean,
who knows?
I mean, Scarlett, do you know any more about this?
I don't know any more. I just think this is just awful tittle-tattle. I mean, so Rachel cried, right?
Yes.
We don't know why. We know that she was upset about something. Isn't that enough? I mean, she's a human being. She was upset about something. When you were upset, you didn't cry. I don't know whether she's had a bereavement or not, but I just think that what happened was I mean, that's her. And I'm sure she's incredibly embarrassed. She is somebody who keeps her composure all the time. She's very, very keen on it. Very few people see the sort of Rachel that those who know her well know her. And I just think, I mean, what are we saying? That she's not allowed to do it? She did it.
I mean, maybe what we're saying is that, frankly, it's been, and if it is a personal bereavement, then I'm sorry. But frankly, it's been pretty obvious since day one that her CV was false and she's not up to the job.
I think this has got nothing to do with that, Nigel. I just think that something happened. We have no idea what, and we have no idea why she was upset. And she was upset. I mean, sometimes things get away from us, right?
Look,
That's all I'm saying. It's got nothing to do with her being Chancellor.
Okay, there's more going on. She was supposed to have a welfare bill that was blown out of the water, frankly. She's got to find £5 billion more in the autumn budget. She'll probably have to raise taxes. There's been huge pressure. I mean, I've been there. I haven't been a whip, but I've been involved in the kind of whipping operation when I was what's called a parliamentary private secretary. They'd have been ringing MPs every hour on the weekend saying, please, please, please vote for the government. That's stressful. You're on the call to close parliamentary colleagues. They're saying, we're not going to vote for you. It's been a very stressful time.
Yes, but what I'm trying to find out is what you two are saying. That the fact that she... And it was only tears. She didn't make a fuss, right? She just had a tear rolling down her face. And that means she's not up to the job?
No,
I just think this is crazy. I think this is crazy.
Her record is dire. She lied about her CV. She's not qualified to do the job.
Come on, Nigel. She's slightly exaggerated something.
Slightly?
No, it was
a wild exaggeration.
There were some exaggerations, but I'm trying to be as compassionate and fair to her as possible.
All I'm saying is I don't say, of course it was stressful. What she's been through is incredibly difficult.
And actually, most of her predecessors, all of her predecessors, have been through similar moments, and you've got to keep it together.
Yeah,
and the fact that she didn't says to me there's a wider problem within the government, her relationship with the Prime Minister, particularly her relationship with the bank manager. Is that unfair?
It is unfair.
Why?
You have no idea. You have no idea. I mean...
Well, you're saying I have no idea what the stress...
I have no idea about her. No, I know, Kwasi. And because you're a man, you didn't cry when she sacked you. Nobody sacked Rachel, right?
No, exactly.
But I know, just a minute, I know that there are times, it happens to me very rarely,
it's nothing to do with being a man. It's nothing to do with being a man.
No, but you're doing this. What I'm saying is the fact that she didn't make a fuss, the fact that a tear rolled down her cheek somehow makes her weak. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I think it's a real shame. I think it shows that something was not happening. It's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with how she is as a Chancellor.
Maybe it's a symptom of what has become a pretty dysfunctional government.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
What's going on?
The endless U-turns, they would have had a very stressful weekend. I can believe
you talk to me about a dysfunctional government. You were in.
Yeah, but
you were the Chancellor.
I didn't cry. I never cried.
Great. Maybe it would have helped if you had. You were in the most dysfunctional government.
I think Scarlett's right.
I never cried. Maybe I should have done. Maybe you're right.
Crying is neither here nor there. And when I get lectures from the Chancellor of the most dysfunctional government I have ever seen, a leader who was... So you were sacked and then she had to go. She didn't even last longer than a lettuce, right? Okay, and then we have Rachel.
Now, here's a big point. Did Starmer today, in the answer that he gave, effectively tie his own political future to her?
They always do. All prime ministers, my own experience, amplified that. But if you look through history, most prime ministers...
They have to do that.
Of course they do, especially in the modern era.
Yeah.
And it's, we all say, well, the Chancellor did this, the Chancellor did that. Number 10, there isn't a comma in the mini-budget. There wasn't a comma in the number 10 didn't sanction. So the minute he gets rid of her, he is totally in the firing line. And I think he's smart enough to realise that.
But I do think that it isn't always true. I mean, with Blair and Brown, they were
in lockstep, and then Brown got rid of him. Blair was never powerful enough to get rid of Brown. He wasn't.
No, but Blair was the leader.
He was.
Right, he was the leader. And he did things that Brown didn't like.
But Scarlett, I mean, it's 25 years ago, and we know that Blair won the election. He won with a big majority. Starmer won with a big majority. Blair had the longest honeymoon that I've ever seen, certainly in my lifetime.
That's right.
And Blair exuded confidence, and Brown made us think that somehow no more boom and bust,
and
they barely sold the gold, but they barely got. They really went through year after year without any big problems.
Oh, no,
what is clear about this government?
Nigel, that you forgot there were rebellions, right? People were terribly unhappy. Iraq was a disaster.
But that was a few years on.
No, I'm actually thinking about the one-parent benefit that they went and got rid of because
but they were
that's
able
what the
to do it.
Conservatives.
But the point is,
but there was a rebellion.
They were in control of that party,
but they had huge support.
They didn't need to U-turn.
I remember one week, I was a student at the time, since the late 90s. I remember opening the newspaper and the Labour Party won 60% on the polls. 60%. In the opinion polls.
Well,
today the government's on 23 or 24.
My point is that we're not, we haven't yet reached even the first anniversary, and this government is in big trouble, isn't it?
No, I think
Really?
No, I think what's happened actually is really, really good. Is finally, it's like
it's not really good.
It's bursting the bubble. No, because actually the whole welfare thing, I mean, it was wrong from the beginning, right? Actually, Jonathan Ashworth, as the shadow person, should have said, welfare is a complete mess. We are going to have a review as to get in. And that's what should have happened. And actually, the way they did it was totally topsy-turvy.
But whether it's welfare, whether it's statements on mass migration and the boats, he literally is U-turning on everything. And I get the feeling the country now realises this man doesn't believe in anything.
Oh, that's totally wrong. That is that. Well, of course,
there have been 4 U-turns.
Of course, you would agree
I would say
with
that.
him.
Of course, I would say that.
Of course, you would say that.
But look at the evidence.
Let's look at the facts. There have been 4 U-turns in the last 6 weeks. So there was a U-turn on the winter fuel payment. There was a U-turn on a national inquiry on grooming gangs. There was a U-turn on the welfare bill that got through, totally gutted yesterday, totally defanged, as it were, yesterday. And there's been a U-turn on his Island of Strangers speech. Yeah. So when he said the Island of Strangers, that was a very definitive statement. And then he said, oh, no, I didn't realise that it was...
I hadn't read it properly. What is he, a parrot? Is he a parrot? Does McSweeney write it all out and he just goes up and reads it?
And then he said, I deeply regret... This is a major policy statement from the Prime Minister.
I know,
and then he totally...
I know, and I didn't agree with it at the time.
In 5 weeks.
So why did he do it? Why did he do it? Why say something as declaratory, and that really was...
Emphatic, it was very clear, controversial, and actually, Ed Balls pointed this out, they were defending his line. The government and ministers were defending the Island of Strangers speech for 2 weeks. And now he suddenly said, oh, I didn't read the speech, I didn't know what it meant.
The problem is, it was a mistake. It was a terrible mistake. But actually, that's what we're used to. I remember under Boris's leadership, how many Tories used to go out, defend what had happened, and then they changed their mind.
It doesn't matter how utterly chaotic the last 14, or at least the last few of the 14 years we're talking about now, and it is a shambles. I'm going to draw a truce.
I think it will change.
I'm drawing a truce on this debate.
I think it will change. You will see, Nigel.
She's not going to because it's my programme.